Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Ask Us webinar. This is a webinar series where you ask anything about TalentLMS and we answer your questions live. Today, we start our conversation with a feature that is built to save you a lot of time as administrators. Of course, we're going to talk about automations. Let's get started. We have a lot to talk about. And my name is Theo. I am part of the customer education team, and I will be hosting the session for you today. Behind the scenes, Irini, my colleague, will also answer your questions. So feel free to literally ask us any question you want about TalentLMS. Now, let's see what we have prepared for you, because we have a few pointers to deliver about automations, and then we will get right into your questions. So at the beginning, for a very quick 10-minute presentation, you will see how to work with automations, how to filter automations, and of course, we will share with you practical examples of automations as we have received those type of questions through the last couple of weeks, and we would thought that it's a good idea to share them with you. Don't forget, we have a live Q&A, which is the majority of this webinar. So don't be afraid, send us any question, not only about automations, about anything, and we'll do our best to answer. Just remember, the webinar is recorded, so you will receive the recording once the session is over, and keep an eye in your inbox the next day so you can see our email landing there. If you want to ask your question, use the Q&A button that you will see in the meeting controls. Click, ask your question. You can do it anonymously if you want, and then you will be able to hear the answer live or receive a reply from Irini. So let's get started, and let me share my screen right here. And what you will see is a very familiar view. I'm sure you've seen it before, right? Most of us in this room right now, they are administrators, and this is the dashboard of the administrator. The administrator is the one who works with automations. And what are they? What are automations? Automations are a series of actions that happen based on the triggers that you set. Automations basically save you a lot of time from tasks like course assignments, user deactivation, course reset, certification reset, and a lot more. Just one thing to note, if you don't see automations on your dashboard so far, automations are available to the premium and the enterprise TalentLMS plans. If you're thinking about looking at the correct plan for you, or if you're in the look for an upgrade, consider the premium or the enterprise plans, because the automations will cut a lot of daily time from looking into the course assignments, deactivating users, and generally doing actions that you can set and then you can forget with automations. Let's look at how we can create an automation first. So all we have to do is go under the events engine, just click on automation, and you will see that from this dropdown, you can have a lot of options about what the potential automations are. What I'm going to use is one of my favorite ones. On course completion, assign courses. When somebody completes a course, automatically they will be assigned to the course that you choose. For example, if I say that somebody completes the onboarding techniques course, then they can be assigned becoming an efficient messenger, or maybe how to boost your negotiation skills. If you want, give it a name, and the name doesn't really matter. It is just for you and the fellow admins to identify what that automation is about. So that's going to be post onboarding courses for sales. Now, if I leave it as it is and somebody completes that course, they will automatically be assigned to those courses. However, we specified here that we want this to work for sales only, right? So let's go to the filters and let's look at the groups and the branches. Here you can add groups or branches that you would like to be the filters for the people who will be subject to the automation. So if I promised you sales, I should deliver. So I'm going to select the sales group right here. So when somebody completes the onboarding techniques course and belongs to the group sales, then yes, they will take those two courses. If they belong in the marketing group and they complete the onboarding techniques, no more courses for them. Maybe you can set another automation for them. So let's add the first automation and have it in our list. Now, one of the things that I would like to suggest, and that is something that is not just a tip, it is a recommended workflow suggestion. Automations are very powerful as a tool, but in order to get the most out of them and to make sure that everything will be exactly as you set it up, you need a solid foundation for that. So make sure that you have all your setup done, your groups, your branches, your courses, everything is in place. And then you set your automations up. Of course, you can always add automations as you go. You don't have to have everything set up at the beginning, but the courses you want to use, the branches and the groups should be already set before you determine what the rules, the triggers, and the automations are. Let's see a few examples because I know that this is something that we can explore more having questions. The first example is a question that came from our emails. And let me just share my screen right there so you can see the question. So they say, we'd like to see an example of how to use automations for compliance training. Can we automate the process of reassigning courses that learners have to take? So as you see, the person who asked this question wants to create a process that will work with the compliance courses and automatically reassign courses that learners need to take to renew the certification that they have. So let me share my screen once more. And let me just show you how to do it. So back at the automations, let's go to add another automation right here. The automation we want is to be triggered by the certificate expiration, and assuming, of course, that in the compliance courses, you have a certificate attached. So here, I'm going to select number of hours before certification expiration. So here we go. But especially not just number of hours before certificate expiration. Let me just find it further down. Here we go. Not only just reset and reassign, but also you can set, reset, and remove courses. I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select on course certification expiration. So that way we don't have to play with hours at all. We just do it on the spot. So when we select, for example, the course, I'm going to write here one word there. So device compliance certificate. So when we complete the device compliance certificates course and we get the certification, the user will have that expired at the determined time that you have. And then you can reset and assign course or just assign new courses. But let's say reset and assign. And of course, you will actually do the same course. You can just set the same course here. So their certification expires, you reset and assign the same course. But what if this course has a prerequisites? What if you have learning paths within the course and you want to assign the prerequisite and reset it as well? That's no problem. You can always just add it right there. So now the prerequisites for that course has been also added to the automation. So they will see both courses reset and assigned when the certificates for that course expires. Let me show you another one. And let me just go back and show you another question right here. And that is a question that we received last time in our previous webinar, and we would like to share with this one here as well. So they say, we are a global organization and we use TalentLMS for our onboarding training where we have new hires every month. How can we make sure that they will not have access to the portal after their onboarding is completing? So what this person wants is to make sure that their TalentLMS account is only a place for training new hires. They do get regular hires every month as a global organization, and they want to make sure that they will not have access to the portal after that training is complete. So that way, new hires will take their place. Let's do it. Let me show you how to get to that. And I am going to share my screen once more. And here we go. The automation that you want for that is the one that deactivates the user. When you deactivate a user, the user doesn't have access to the account anymore, and you can still keep the data of that user and you can pull them back in any reports relevant to them or relevant to the dates that they were active. So generally speaking, deactivation is the best way forward instead of deleting. When you delete somebody, the data is gone, you don't see them anymore ever. So what we want here is to type deactivation in the search bar there, and you automatically see the different options that we have for deactivation related automations. So what I'm going to do is this: number of hours after last login, deactivate or delete user. So for example, let's say we're going to do 10 days, so 240 hours after the last login, the user will be deactivated. But that happens for every user. So do we want every user to be deactivated? No, we only want the new hires. So go to the filter here and you can filter based on groups and branches. For example, if I have a new hires group, I can just use that. And you can set a preferred user type as your filter as well. So here, I'm not going to add learners because I don't want other learners to be deactivated, just the new hires. And then, of course, you give it a name and you save. And an alternative to that, instead of just a couple of hours after the last login, I'm going to type again deactivate. Let's do it right here. Hang on, because I'm on a test environment. So let me just shut down the filter first. So let's do deactivate. And the other option is to do this, number of hours after course completion deactivate users. So you don't have any filters here, but what you can do is create a course dedicated to be the last course of the new hire training. And then let's say, for example, 24 hours, just a day, after somebody completes, let's say, the new hires training survey course, which is a course that contains the survey, the feedback survey for the new hires, then they get deactivated. So now you know that nobody else will take that course because it's destined for the new hires, and then they will be gone. I know that this is just a few ideas. I'm sure that you will have more questions about automations, and feel free again. Any question about TalentLMS goes, ask anything, any question, any feature, and we will be able to answer. So let's see what we have here. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. Can you have a course expire and reassigned, such as for compliance, without having a certificate? Well, that's a good question. So let's go and see the automations that you can use. So if I click on the automations here and type the word expire, let's see what we get. So that should be expiration. So you see here, you can have number of hours before course expiration or number of hours after course expiration. So yes, you can definitely reset and assign courses based on the expiration of the course, but not the expiration of the certificate. So as long as you have a course that has an expiration date, definitely you can work with that automation. There is another question about automations, and that is for, again, an anonymous attendee. Feel free to ask anonymously, but we would love to know your name so we can have a direct conversation with you. So they are asking, I have this issue. I have a course where my users need to get 100 points in total. But when I set the automation to 100, my users get more points. But I cannot uncheck the course completion points, obviously. What am I doing wrong? Well, you're not doing anything wrong. You're actually almost correct. I think that all we have to do is adjust the number of points that you have into the automation. But let me double check that this is exactly what you're looking for. So as I understand it, you are in the account settings gamification, and you have set the points for every course completion. So that should be here, for example, you have set it up to, let's say, already 100, right? And then you went to the automations. So you can have an automation where you can add extra points to courses, and you have typed here points. And then on course completion, for example, let's say this course, you have actually added here 100 points. So what happens is that your users get 110 points because they already got the 10 points from completing the course in the generic gamification settings. And on top of that, you have the 100 points of the automation. One thing that you need to change, and then you will be golden. Here, instead of 100, just write 90. So they get the 10 points from the gamification settings plus the 90 points now, since you subtract the 10 points that they already have. And then in total, that should make it 100 points. I hope that helps. Let's have a look at another question. So there is a question from Mason. Is it possible to create an automation based off a custom user field? Mason, that is a great idea. It's a suggestion. We don't have this option yet, but this is something that definitely our product team will hear about. So thank you for letting us know. What you can do, though, is you can always just use custom reports and filter using the rules in custom fields. For example, if I go in the custom reports, you can always just, in the users option, go and select custom field here and make it a rule to filter. And then, although it's not an automation, it will still save you time. And that is when you get into custom reports and you just perform the mass action. So not exactly an automation, but then you can just enroll somebody to a course, unenroll and reset. So not an automation, but still a very, very big help if you want to save time and filter people based on a custom field. There's a question from Mina. So Mina is asking, I have an ongoing confusion with groups as being groups of courses and or groups of individuals. So when Theo mentioned setting a group to expire at the end of the onboarding, I think we're talking a group of individuals, since you likely will have another onboarding group in the future. Is this accurate? Mina, thank you for this question. I know that maybe that was something that's definitely needed clarification here. So thank you for bringing this forward. By expiring, you mean deactivation, right? So when we work with the automations, we're not deactivating the entire group. We are deactivating the person if they belong in the group. So let's go back to automations. So you can see that's another way of getting there, right? I clicked on Events Engine, but then you can always get into automations there. So let's look at it once more together. So if I type here deactivation, I think you're talking about it, right? So number of hours after last login. Here in the filter, you can have new hires as the group, right? And of course, you can set the user type. Let's say even all learners or new hires, doesn't matter. But you don't deactivate the entire people of the group. You deactivate only any user who belongs to the group and has not logged in for the last 10 days, and then they get deactivated. So don't worry, nobody will be losing an entire group, only if you have a user who belongs in the group and meets the prerequisite of not having logged in 10 days. I hope that clarifies this. Let's see another question here, and that has to do with somebody who apparently uses e-commerce. So this is coming from Maria. Maria is asking, how can I prevent users from window shopping my courses and staying in the account without actually making a purchase? Can I delete them somehow? Yes, you can, but still we would suggest to deactivate them and not delete them. So let me show you how to do it. And trust me, window shopping is nice, but not when you want to sell training. So let's go to the automations right there. And all I'm gonna do is actually select or maybe type. I always like to type because it's a very quick way to just search. The moment you start the word, you see the related results. So number of hours after sign up and the user has not made a purchase, deactivate user. So let's say I'm going to give them 10 days. So 10 days is my favorite number because it's easy to type, as you say. So 10 days, pretty much 240 hours after somebody signs up and they have not made a purchase, you deactivate them. So no more window shopping pretty much. There's another question again for automations, but just a reminder, I love answering those, but anything that you have, just bring it on. So that's an anonymous attendee. I have a few courses used in some automations. If I delete the courses, do the automations get deleted too? So you have either accidentally or on purpose deleted the course and then the automation doesn't work. That is correct. The automation stops working and gets deleted as well, since you delete the courses that are part of the prerequisites. And that makes sense. If you say on course new onboarding, for example, delete the user, then of course, when you delete the course, there's nothing that can trigger that automation, so there's no automation. But just make sure that you deactivate the automations if you don't want to use them instead of deleting the courses. And a very quick note here, I can hover on any automation. I can go to the pencil icon there. If you deactivate it, the automation will not work again, but you don't lose it. It's there, it's inactive. And if at some point you still want to bring it forward, just edit and then activate and update, of course, and it will start working again right on the spot. So don't delete. There's another one, and that is from Mason. Is it possible to set up a course for expiration with a custom expiration for each user, or do I have a due date for courses? Mason, that's a brilliant question. So let me show you that. You can go to do that as an admin or as an instructor since it's in the course settings. So I'm going to go to my courses here, just select one. And into the settings, all you have to do is go to the time options, and the generic expiration dates that you would set is here. But what you're looking for is the time limit. So if I say here, for example, that's going to be 7 days, that means that from the time that somebody gets in the course, either they get it from the catalog or you assign the course to them, it doesn't matter. But from that time, they have 7 days. So technically, that due date is custom to the user because it depends on when the user actually gets the course. I hope that helps. And on that note, there is always ways that you can always just extend the expiration date for a specific user. So that's something that you can always do. But the quick answer to your question is that the time limit is what you're looking for. And Michael is asking, do you have suggestions for organizing existing automations, ways to quickly check and verify what we have set up? Let's look at it and let's have a look at our automations again. And of course, you can always just add one, but let's go back and click here. The easiest way, and of course in my portal that doesn't work because I only have one, right, is this. Just download, and you will download the automations in a CSV file. Let me open it up and show you how that looks. So very small for me, right? But still, if you have more than one automation, of course, you can just see them right there. And that's how you get a collection of those. There's another one, and that has to do with the reports. So a question that comes once more from an anonymous friend. My trainers are spending a lot of time on reports, trying to figure out what courses are suitable for learners based on the score they complete the course with. Can we automate that and not waste time? Yes, you can. And that is one of the beautiful applications of automation. So thank you for this question. And that has to do with the grade of the course, the final score of the course. So let's go to automations. And as I said, let's type the word score. You see, we can still play with hours, couple of hours after, but I like to do things right on the spot. So on course completion, with a score between this and that, assign follow courses. So let's go and say that we're going to do it for the 5 tips for device security. So if somebody completes that course with a score between 50, which is the threshold, and I'm going to say 80. So they have done their job doing the training and successfully completed the course, but they really need a little more help to really comprehend the content. So then what you will actually give them is, for example, other related courses. For example, if I type here essential, let's see what we get. Yep, here we go. Essential compliance training. So maybe they did that course a long time ago, so they don't remember it, or maybe they never did the course because they just hopped into this one. So those that are not the top performers, they get assigned that course. And then you add another automation. And when you click that button, that automation is saved. So let me save it. So that is 50 to 80 compliance. So I'm just gonna, instead of add, just click on the drop down, add another on the spot. And I'm gonna do the same thing, but I will choose now, of course, the same course, but I will do from 80 to 100. So now the top performers. And what do they get? They go straight to the device compliance certificates. Why? Because they don't really have any need of any further training or any need to look at the essential scores because they're top of the class. So all I'm going to do then is go for 100 to 80 to 100 compliance, and then just add it. And what you will see right here is that we have 2 automations now, the one for the average learner and the one for the exceptional learner so they can get the right content. Let's see another one. And that is from Mason. Thank you, Mason, for the questions. Really, really good questions. Is there a way to allow users who have an expired course since have access to complete it? With our compliance training, we want to have learners complete within 2 weeks. But if they miss that date, we still want them to go in and complete, but know that they're late. So basically, even if a course has expired, if I understand correctly, you want to revoke the access to those users. Yes, let's see how to do it. For that, though, you have to be an instructor. So if I go as an instructor here, let's go to a course. For example, I'm going to go to onboarding techniques here. And first of all, we need to make sure that this course has an expiration. So let's say that the time options, for example, the expiration here will be the 26th, let's say, end of date. And now, if we go to the users in progress and we look at the course users, you can hover over any learner and you see that they're learners, not only from the tag here, but from the options that are much less than the instructors. You click on the calendar, and then you can change the expiration date to, let's say, the 30th. Now, I don't have any expired learner here, but what happens when a course expires is that, first of all, the learner will know about it because they will not have access to the course anymore because it's expired. And they will also see it because there will be an expired tag next to the course. So they know that they have to possibly drop you a message and let you know that maybe they can get an extension. And there is another question as well, and that is, again, clarification information. So you don't want their access revoked. Is there a way to do it even if a course expired or partially completed? Yes, absolutely. And actually, thank you for the clarification, but this is exactly the solution. No matter if the access is completed, no matter whether the course is completed or the access is expired or the course is somewhere in between, still the user in progress, and then you can hover, go to the calendar and do the same thing. Let's see another question here, and that question comes from, again, an anonymous friend. We have an interaction with our HRIS with the API, and we wonder if the notification number of hours after users sign up assign courses, I think that's an automation, right? Works with those users too. Can you verify? So just for anybody else, let me just show you what our friend here is asking. So they have integrated TalentLMS with their HRIS system using the API. So from their HR platform, their users sync with TalentLMS. And there's an automation here, which is, if I just type here, sign up. So this is the one, number of hours after users sign up, assign courses. So they have set it up and they want to make sure that even if technically the integration works automatically and it syncs and nobody physically signs up, if that will work. The answer is yes, it will work without any issues. It will work normally, whether you have API and whether you have SSO set up. But one thing that you need to remember is that, especially when you have SSO, it doesn't work if the user is created using SCIM. I know that this is something that probably I cannot expand a lot more, but if you have any questions about it, the help section is there. Contact support, drop them a message. And again, if you work with automations, you're probably on a premium or enterprise plan, and there you would have live chat as well. So you can always just give them a quick shout out. But the quick answer is yes, works like a charm with the API. Yes, works with the SSO, unless the user using the SSO is created via SCIM. And a very, very final question from Danny. Is it possible to set up a notification to be sent by email to HR when someone has finished a specific course? Absolutely, and let me show you how. Back to the home, and let's go to add a notification. The notification that you want is based on the event on course completion. So I'm gonna type completion here. So that is on course completion, or a couple of hours after still. And the recipient here should be the specific people. Now, if the HR is a specific admin, branch admins, course instructors, and you want them to be included among the rest of the course instructors or the rest of the branch admins, that's fine. But specifically, if you want, for example, 2 people in the HR to take the notification and only those, you go to specific recipients, put the email addresses of those people, separate them with a space, type the notification, create, and that is something that will be able to be sent to them. And I promise that's going to be the final question, but I don't want to leave anything unanswered. From Wendy, how do you get a test environment? We want to have a test environment only for developers to test before publishing. Wendy, quick question for you. Does your plan support branches? If your plan supports branches, you can always create a branch here. You can call it Sandbox. I'm sure your developers will love the name. And of course, you can always just save the settings, add the users, and that could be the developer's playground, the sandbox to do any experiments. Of course, we would like to hear a little bit more information about what your intentions are with this test environment, so that way we can give you more information. So if you can kindly send us an email at trainingteam@talentlms.com, we will be able to help and answer further your question. And with that said, I think that we have answered as many questions as possible. Irene has done a brilliant job behind the scenes answering on the chat as well. And what we would like to share with you is, apart from our email, trainingteam@talentlms.com, is a survey. On the chat right now, there is a survey link that you can click, and therefore you can tell us what you think about this webinar, what we can always improve. And of course, we would like to see your suggestions for future webinars. Lastly, talking of future webinars, if you would like to see our website, go to talentlms.com/webinars. This is our inventory of webinars that you can find our past sessions, our upcoming sessions, and of course, you will be able to explore a lot more topics and see our faces a lot many times. I hope that was useful. And of course, we are looking forward to seeing you next time in our upcoming webinars. Take care, everybody, and happy training.